So welcome to this Module 1 of the EstimatorXpress Software Skills course. During today's module, you're going to learn how to set up your price book to match the prices that you pay. So we'll spend some time reviewing the rates in each of the 5 sections of the price book. So that's the labour rates, materials, plant and equipment, subcontractor and sundry items. I'll show you how to edit the prices of the resources which are already in there. And I'll also show you how to add your own resources to the price book. Finally, I'll show you how to use my favourites so that you can set up EstimatorXpress to use your preferred suppliers. It may be that you have links set up with some of our merchant partners, so you've already got your terms and discounts downloaded into the software, so you can tell EstimatorXpress which supplier you'd like to use for your timber products or your aggregate products or whatever. Okay, so hopefully you've launched your software already and you can see your main menu. In the centre of the main menu, there are several options for exploring different aspects of the software. Shortly, we're going to be going into My Settings. That's going to be the focus of our module today and next week's module as well. But before we do that, I just want to point out some different parts of the main menu, some features that are quite helpful to know about. So on the bottom left here, you'll see a list of all the installed features and bonus packs that you've got downloaded. To the right here is the software status section. This shows you how up to date your software is. So if it's amber or red, there will be an update that you need to download. It also tells you how up to date your support and updates package is, and if it's about to expire. You might want to give us a call and renew it, or I'm sure we'll be in touch with you to do that. And then at the bottom we've got the merchant accounts. This tells us how long you've got left on your merchant accounts. So if you're coming up to the end of the year, again, we'll be in touch with you about renewing that. On the far right here, we have a message box, and this will change from time to time. At the moment, it's telling you about an upcoming version of a health and safety expert, but it will also tell you about things like new support resources on the website or new bonus packs or offers that are available. Lastly, and importantly, at the top right-hand corner here of your software, you've got your registered to details. You can update them at any point. All you need to do is click onto your address details and the contact details box will pop up. So if, for example, your company name changes or your address, you can just overtype the information in there. And once you've done that, click update. I'll cancel that for now. Okay, so let's get started and have a look at the master price book. So if you can click the My Settings option, that will take you to the My Settings menu. We'll be looking at some other options on here later in the course, but for now we're going to click on My Price Books, which is the top left option. And after a moment, you'll find yourself looking at the Library of Price Books screen. We're going to open the master price book in a moment. Now you'll notice that there's only one price book in the software out of the box, and there is a copy price book button. However, I'd advise you not to create your own price book. Best practice really is to update the prices in the master price book to match what you pay rather than create your own. And the reason for that is that if you create your own price book, you are then responsible for keeping up to date all of the prices within your price book, which is a massive job. Prices in your own price book won't be updated when you do a price download. So to make life easier, if you start with a master price book and set up the prices to match what you pay, that will make life a lot easier. Before we open up the master price book, just a quick note on different ways of opening up items and selecting items in EstimatorXpress. There are 3 ways to open up items in EstimatorXpress. So in this case, we're opening up a price book, but it's the same principle when you're opening up a specification or a workbook. You can double click on an item, so I could double click on master price book here, but I'd caution you against doing that, because if you catch the bottom of the line here as you do it, you will jump to the bottom of the Excel page, which will be hundreds of rows down the screen, and you'll have to scroll all the way back up because the software is based on Excel. You can also right click on an item and you get a right click menu if you want to practice doing that at your end. So there are options to open that price book, copy it or delete it. So you can open the price book that way using the right click menu, or the way I normally do it is just to click on an item and then click the button on the top menu. So there's an open price book button there. So either using the right click method or using the button on the top menu, if you select the price book by clicking on it and then open up the price book, you'll have a box pop up asking which section of the price book you want to open, and we're going to start with the labour section. So if you select the top option, labour, and then click select. Okay, so here we can see the labour section of the price book. All the rates are hourly. You can see here we've got a rate for this gang, £42 for the hour. If you pay people by the day, simply divide that figure by 8 to give you an hourly rate. So if you pay a rate of £160 a day, that would be £20 an hour. You'll see there's many different labourers in the list and also gangs of labourers, and there's probably actually more than you would actually use. You're also likely to have multi-trade people that you use, and all you need to do is set their rates to match the tasks that they perform. So if you've got a guy called Bob who does your bricklaying and also your joinery, then you'd find the bricklayer and the joinery rate and set them to match what you pay Bob. So you can edit an individual labour rate by clicking on it and pressing the Edit Resource button. So if I clicked on my bricklayer, I could then click the Edit Resource button on the top menu, and you'll see there are several different categories associated with this bricklayer resource. If I wanted to change the unit cost, I could just overtype the figure in the unit cost box there. But if we are editing multiple different resources, there is a quicker way of doing it. If I cancel that box there, if you want to edit multiple rates, the quickest way to do it is by using the mass editing tools. So if you can click the mass editing tools button on the top menu, a drop down menu appears and we want to click the Edit Prices option. So click Mass Editing Tools and then click Edit Prices. And you'll see that when you do that, this purchase cost column here turns white. Now when a column is white, or when a cell is white, it means it's unlocked so that you can type directly into the cell. You'll see that most of these columns here are blue, which means you can't edit them. And the simple reason for that is that you could quite easily corrupt the data in the software. But once you've gone to Mass Editing Tools and clicked Edit Prices, you can type directly into this purchase cost column to update your prices. This rule is the same wherever you are in the software. If a cell is blue, you can't type into it, but if it's white, you can. So you'll see here for our brickies, we've got a mixture of individual labourers. We've got a bricklayer and we've got the bricklayer's labourer, bricklayer's mate, and then we've got some gangs as well. So let's start by updating the price for the bricklayer. So all you need to do is click into the purchase cost cell adjacent to the bricklayer and type in the cost that you pay. So it may be that you pay slightly more in your area. I'm going to change that to £18. And then do the same for your bricklayer's labourer. I'll just show you a tool that can help you here. If you click on the Filters button, there's an option to highlight the selected line. And when you do that, it does what it says on the tin. It's easier to look at the rows of data when you've got a line selected like that. So update your bricklayer's labourer, your bricklayer's mate as well. So I'm going to say mine's £11, but set it to whatever you pay your guys. So we've updated the individual labourers. You'll notice that the gangs haven't updated automatically, so you need to update those as well. So work out the cost of your bricklayer and labourer. Simple bit of arithmetic. Add the cost of your bricklayer and your labourer, and then enter the total cost there for that gang. And then you would do the same for your 2 bricklayers and mate, and for your 4 bricklayers and 2 mates. So I'll just give you a moment to update those costs at your end. Okay, so that's how you update your individual labourers and your gangs for a particular trade, and you would just continue working your way down the labour rates, updating any prices as necessary. I should say that once you've entered a figure, you need to make sure you either click the Enter key or click onto a different part of the screen. And once you do that, that's entering that figure. It's confirming the figure. If you type a figure in and have the cursor flashing in that field, you'll then find that the buttons no longer work because Excel is waiting for you to finish entering that bit of data. So make sure you press the Enter key or click onto another part of the screen. Just a quick note on some items here. We've got allowances here for fixing SIPS panels. These are linked to workbooks where you enter the labour cost directly into the workbook itself. Hence, they're set at £1. So leave those as they are. But when you've got a few more minutes on your hands, if you could just work your way down the labour section of the price book, as we've just done there, updating the rates for your joiners, your decorators, electricians, and so on. And once you've done that, or whenever you've finished editing prices in the price book, you need to click on the Mass Editing Tools button again. And then you need to click Edit Prices once again, and that switches off price editing mode. So the purchase cost column has turned blue again, meaning you can't edit it, and you've finished changing those costs. You can add your own labourers into the master price book if you want to. For example, if you wanted to use a 3-in-1 bricklaying gang. However, the labourers that are in there are already in use in the different specifications in the software. So for example, a 2-in-1 gang is the default in the new build specification. So if you add your own labourers, you would then need to go into the specification and swap the gang being used for each of the bricklaying tasks. We'll look at the specifications in depth next week, and that should become more clear. You can also add specialist labourers. For example, if you wanted to add a specialist floor tiler or a glazing specialist or something that's not in there already. Okay, so that's a quick introduction to the labour section of the price book. Hopefully it's all pretty self-explanatory. The only thing you need to remember is that if you want to go down editing several rates, then the best way to do it is to click Mass Editing Tools and then click Edit Prices. Once you've finished editing your prices, go back to Mass Editing Tools and click Edit Prices once again to finish off, to lock those cells down. Okay, let's have a look at the materials section of the price book. You can change to a different section of the price book using this section drop down on the top menu. So if you click on that drop down box and select the material section, and after a moment the material section of the price book will open up. So before we do any price editing in the materials, we're going to practice some of the ways you can filter the price book. The materials section of the price book is pretty extensive and probably seems a bit daunting to begin with. But with a few clicks you can break it down into much smaller sections and make it easier to work with. So the first thing I want to show you is how you can filter out different suppliers. Some of you may just be working with the HPXL price tracker products, but many of you will have some of the other merchants whose terms we can download, such as Jewson, Travis Perkins, Keyline, TradePoint, and so on. If you have got a merchant account and it's not linked to the software yet, if you let me know at the end of the training today, we can get that sorted for you. So if you want to filter the price book to show only the products of one supplier, you can filter using the Supplier Filter. So if you click on the Supplier column and then click on the Filter button to the right-hand side, at the bottom you'll see a list of the different merchants which you have in your price book. So I'm going to unselect all of my merchants. So if you can do the same at your end. And then just tick the HPXL price tracker products. That means I just want to filter my price book to show only HPXL price tracker products. So once you've done that, so that was unselecting all of the merchants if you've got multiple ones and then ticking HPXL price tracker, then click OK. Now the price list is only showing products which are HPXL price tracker products. If you want to, you can have a go and doing that again. Click the supplier filter and select a different supplier. Click OK to apply that filter. Okay, so I'm going to return to HPXL Price Tracker for now. The second filter we're going to look at is the product type filter. So for example, blocks, insulation, drainage, they're all types within the materials section of the price book. You can filter the type either using the type column here. You'll see there's a filter there for the type of product. That works in exactly the same way as the supplier filter. Or there's also a types drop-down box on the top menu here, which is the one I tend to use to locate a certain product type. So for our exercises today, let's use the types option on the top menu. So if you can click on the types drop-down box and then select blocks. Now you should hopefully see a short list of about a dozen items. If you don't, like me, it's because I've got multiple suppliers again, so I need to filter the price book again just to show HPXL Price Tracker products. So if you can do that at your end if you need to. So we've selected the blocks type on the top menu. We've gone back to the supplier filter and we've selected just the HPXL Price Tracker products, clicked OK. And then you should see this shorter list of HPXL Price Tracker block products. So now that we've got this short list, you can see how we can quite easily edit the prices. To do that, it's exactly the same as in the labour section of the price book. You need to click on the Mass Editing Tools button and click the Edit Prices button. So go to Mass Editing Tools and click the Edit Prices button, and you'll see the purchase cost column turns white again, meaning that we can type directly into it. Now let's have a go at editing the prices of some of these block products. As an example today, I'm going to change the price of these solid dense concrete blocks, 7 Newton, 100 mil blocks. I'm going to imagine I pay £12. The rate, as you can see, is per metre squared. So change the price you pay for your solid dense concrete blocks, 7 Newton, 100 mil wide ones, and then spend a couple of minutes updating the prices of any other blocks to match what you'd expect to pay. Once you've finished editing your products, you can click the Mass Editing Tools button again and click Edit Prices to lock down that purchase cost column and to indicate that you've finished changing your prices. Now, when you do that in the materials section, you get this box popping up and it's asking if you would like your prices to be an adjustment to the list price so that they continue to track market fluctuations. So when you've edited the prices in the material section of the price book, more often than not, you want to click Yes. And when you do that, you'll see that EstimatorXpress works out an adjustment figure. So it's worked out that my blocks are 25% cheaper than the list price. Now this is really clever and it's really important. What it means is if the average list price of blocks goes up, then your purchase cost will automatically go up as well. So if, for example, blocks on average go up by 25%, they go up to £20, then the cost that you pay will also go up by 25%. If the average price of blocks goes down, then your purchase cost will also go down as well. So what it means is that once you've edited your prices to match what you'd expect to pay, your purchase costs will automatically move up and down in line with the market, but they will maintain that approximate discounted rate versus the market price. So it's really important to click Yes. You'd like to save that price change as an adjustment when you make changes to material prices. Okay, let's have a look at some aggregate products now. So on the types filter at the top of the screen, on the top menu, select aggregate from the list. If you have multiple suppliers showing again, like I do, again, click on the supplier filter and select only the HPXL Price Tracker products. So you should now have a short list of HPXL Price Tracker aggregate products. So to edit them, we click the Mass Editing Tools button and click Edit Prices. That opens up this purchase cost column so we can type our costs directly in. So I would like you to edit the price of the ballast bulk bag. We find that people in reality pay something more like £30 to £35. But put in whatever price it is that you pay. I'm just putting in examples at my end. You want to get the software set up working exactly correctly for you. While we're here then, if you could also update the price for the building sand bulk bag. And the building sand standard bag, which is the fourth one down. Of course, if you had a bit more time, you could work your way through all of those aggregate products. And once you're done editing the prices of your aggregate products, click the Mass Editing Tools button and click Edit Prices again. That box will pop up saying, do you want to set your price change as an adjustment? Click Yes. That means once you've checked your prices and updated them once, you won't have to keep going back and doing it, because the software knows that the price you pay for your ballast bulk bag, for example, is typically a third less than the going rate. So it will take a third off the list price. So whilst we're looking at HP Excel price tracker products for the purposes of our training today, you can of course use the principles we've worked on to edit materials from other suppliers. It may be that you use a principal supplier for most of your materials, but then use other suppliers for specific ranges. So for example, you may use Jewson or Travis Perkins for the majority of your products, but you buy all your aggregate products from the local quarry. If this is the case, you could use the downloaded merchant prices for the bulk of your materials, but then just edit the HP Excel price tracker products for the aggregates, and then use those in your estimates. So you wouldn't need to update your Jewson or your TP products, because you'd have your downloaded terms and discounts already set up. You just need to focus on your aggregates and match them to what you pay from your local supplier. We'll look at how you can pick and mix the different suppliers at the end of this module when we look at my favourites. Okay, before we go any further then, I just want to have a quick mention of bricks, because they're a bit of a special case. On the types drop-down menu on the top of your screen, if you could select bricks and then filter the supplier column, so we're looking at just the HP Excel price tracker products. Okay, so bricks are a bit of a special case. Because there are literally thousands of types of brick on the market, instead of trying to create a giant list of them all, what we have is a short list of typically priced facing bricks and reclaimed facing bricks. This means that you can simply pick a brick that's closest to the price you'll be using for a particular job. And this process is done when creating an estimate using mini specs. We'll cover this during Module 3 when we create our estimate. So as far as facing bricks go, they're just set up with an allowance. So facing bricks, anything from 40p each to £1 each. So you obviously wouldn't want to adjust these prices, because all you would do is when you're creating your job, you say, right, I'm using a 70p facing brick, or I'm using an 85p reclaimed facing brick. Okay, so we've spent a few minutes looking at how to edit the prices of resources which are already in the price book, but of course you can also add your own resources. So we're going to now look at how to add our own materials to the price book. You can add any product you like to a price book, so you can add labour items as we discussed before, you can add materials, you can add equipment or plant, sundries or subcontractor items. More often than not though, you're going to want to add materials. Now we're going to add a few products ourselves to practice this. There's no limit to what you can add to the price book. You just need to know a few things. You need to know what the product's called, because you need to give it a description. You need to know how much it costs, and you need to know how it's supplied, so what unit of purchase it is, so whether they're sold individually or each, whether they're sold by the metre or the roll, metre squared, or so on. So for example, if you wanted to add a new type of insulation product, like a sheet insulation like Celotex or Kingspan, then you would know that it's bought by the individual sheet. Cavity wall insulation, on the other hand, is bought in packs, so you say that that's bought by a pack price. This will become a bit clearer when I talk you through it in a moment. So when you want to create a new product, it's easiest to find an existing similar product in the price book to use as a template. You can, of course, create a new product from scratch, but generally there'll be a similar product in there that will save you time when adding a new resource. For our first example, let's create a new insulation product. So to do that, we're going to filter the price book to show just the insulation products. So if you click on the types drop-down box again and select insulation. So after a moment, hopefully you're looking at only your insulation products in the price book. We're going to add a sheep wool product. That's something that's often requested. It's bought by the roll. So to start off, I'd like you to find an insulation product that has each as its unit. So here you can see the unit of supply. Some insulation products are sold by the sheet, some by the metre squared, but we want one that says each. So if you click on any product in the insulation section of the price book, which has a unit of supply of each, so click on it to highlight it. And then you can either right click, this is another option available in the right click menu, and select new resource, or you can just click new resource on the top menu. And then you'll see the new resource dialog box pops up. So the first thing you're going to want to do is to update the description. So I'm just dragging my mouse over the text in there to highlight it all, and I'm going to click the backspace key on my keyboard to delete it. Then you can type in the description of the product. So let's call this sheep's wool. And then I'm going to enter the dimensions of the wool. 4 meters by 380 millimeters by 100 millimeters. The reason we're putting the dimensions in the description there is that you'll need to know the dimensions to work out the area, so you can work out how much of it is used to cover a square meter. Okay, so finish typing your description into the top box there. The code is automatically assigned by EstimatorXpress, so you don't need to worry about that. And then obviously we need to give the product a cost. All of the prices in the price book are excluding VAT, so you want to enter the cost excluding VAT. For this example, let's say the unit cost is £47.50. We can leave the discount and adjustment fields for now. And then we need to select the unit of purchase. If I click the drop down, you'll see that there are many different units of purchase. It's amazing how many different units of purchase there are, really. If you click on there, scroll down, you'll find there's one unit called roll without the length after it. Just enter roll. You may have noticed there's a plus button here. If the unit you want doesn't already exist in the software, you can add it in. So for example, you can buy some new eco products by the bale. So you could click the plus button, type in bale, click OK, and that would add it to the list of units of purchase. So once you've selected the roll as a unit of purchase, you can then change the supplier or contractor if need be. The default thing to do would be to select an HP Excel price tracker, or you could use the plus button again and add in your own merchants. So if there's a supplier you regularly use, you can add them to the list, and then you can assign products to that supplier when you add them. That supplier can then be filtered in the way that we've been filtering the price book, and that option will be available if you add any other new products that they supply. If you don't want to add your own merchant in there, just select HP Excel price tracker. If you think of HP Excel price tracker as your generic products. So then we need to select a product type, As we started with an insulation product, it's automatically selected the insulation type, so that's perfect for what we're doing. We can leave it as it is. Then you need to enter your delivery time, so it might be a longer lead time. Maybe you need to put 4 weeks, 8 weeks or whatever. So you'd update the delivery lead time. This information is used in some of the reports which EstimatorXpress creates. Check the payment time is correct. Change it if you need to. Then we'll jump down to VAT. You can change that if you need to. It's set to the default of 20%. And the last field is wastage. You'll find that with most building materials it's typically set to 7.5%, but you can set it to whatever you think is relevant for a particular material. So once you're happy that all the different fields, all the different categories are set up correctly, then you would click OK. And you'll see that your product has appeared in the price book. Let's have a go at adding another product while we're at it. And we'll also have a quick look at what we call allowance material products. Let's use the types filter again to locate the bathroom items. So if you scroll back up to the top and click bathroom, you may need to filter to show just HPXL price tracker products again. So click on that supplier filter, select HPXL price tracker. Some of the products have a description which says allowance in the name. Now these are typical of the sort of products where the price could be anything, as it's usually down to customer choice. So in this example, customer is very likely to be choosing which bathroom suite you fit, unless it's a budget fit out. You can see that we have a couple of bathroom suites already in the price book, but they are very much budget suites. So you might want to add your own luxury, more deluxe products in there. So if you could click on the bathroom pack 3-piece product and then click new resource, we're going to use that 3-pack as a starting point for a new product. So once you've clicked on the product and press the new resource button, then it's exactly the same process as we just followed for adding our sheep's wool. You would update the description. So this time let's enter a description of bathroom executive pack. Just a note on descriptions, product descriptions, because the name of product can appear in your customer quote, you obviously want to use descriptions which put the product in a positive light. So if you were using a budget bathroom suite, you wouldn't want to call it cheap bathroom suite. That wouldn't look so great on the quote. So just think carefully about the descriptions and bear in mind that it may show on your quote depending on the settings that you choose when you create your quote. Okay, so let's change the unit cost of this executive bathroom pack. I'm going to change it to £2,500. We can ignore the discount and adjustment because we're setting the unit cost at the price that we're expecting to pay. Check the unit of purchase. In this case, each is okay because you buy your bathroom pack individually. Buy the each. Set your supplier. So again, you can stick with the generic HPXL price tracker, or you can add your own supplier in if you'd rather. The type is correctly set to bathroom because we've based it on a bathroom product, so that's fine. Check your lead time for your delivery. Does that sound correct? Update it if need be. Same with your payment time. Review your VAT and have a think about your wastage. Now you may think wastage is a bit of a funny one on a bathroom suite. Obviously you want to include wastage for items such as bricks, tiles and timber, where there's inevitably some loss and damage. But wastage on items that don't on the surface seem to incur wastage actually covers you for small amounts of unforeseen occurrences. If you really don't want wastage on there, that's fine. Just set that to 0, that figure to 0. Otherwise, leave it at 7.5%. Okay, so once you've filled out all those fields, Once again, click OK. That will add that product to your price book. You might have noticed that when you add a product to the price book, it will appear with a red list price. This is just highlighting the fact that HP Excel will not adjust them automatically. Products that you add in to the software yourself are not updated when you do a price download. But however, what you can do is filter the products that you've added yourself, and then you can update the prices. And you would do this using the list price filter. So if you click on the list price column and then click on the list price filter to the right, you'll see there's an option to filter by color. And if we click red, it will show just the red prices. So if you suddenly thought, I haven't reviewed the prices of the products I've added to my price book for 6 months, I want to just have a quick look at them and check they look correct. You could go into your price book. If I just filter my price book again so you can see all of the products. And then go to list price, filter by color, and select red to show just the red products, and I can see the ones that I've added to the price book. I can just check them and update them as necessary. To bring all the prices back again, click on that list price filter and click the clear filter option there. And then you're looking at the whole price book again. So I've just shown you how to add materials to the price book, but there's a caveat here again. You really don't need to add materials to your price book which already exist. So if you see HP Excel Price Tracker Building Sand Bulk Bag in the price book and you decide you want to add your own with your own price, don't do it. There's no need. All you need to do is edit the price of the existing Price Tracker Building Sand Bulk Bag to match the price that you are paying. If you create duplicate products, again, it makes it harder for you to pick them in the future because you'll need to go into the specification and select your products. But also you will have to manually update all of their prices. So only create a new resource when it's for something that does not already exist in the price book. Otherwise, just update the prices that are there to match what you pay. Okay, so hopefully you've got a good understanding of how the materials section of the price book works now. So let's have a look at the plant and equipment prices. So if you go to the section drop-down box on your top menu and select the third option down, that's the plant section of the price book. So this is a list of tools, equipment, and of course large plant that you may use during the construction process. It may be that you hire this equipment, or it may be that you own it. If you own it, you still need to charge for the use of it, otherwise you're not covering your own capital expenditure on those items. And any profits you think you're making will in fact disappear when your accountant looks at your books. You'll see that the plant prices here are in red. That means they are not kept up to date by HP Excel Price Tracker. Editing the plant items in the plant section of the price book is exactly the same as in the material and the labour section. So see if you can remember how to switch on price editing mode. I'll give you a moment to do it yourself. So I'm sure you've done it. Mass editing tools button and then edit prices to change that purchase cost column to white so it's unlocked and ready to go down and update the prices. There are several items in the plant section of the price book I want to draw your attention to. To start with then, we'll look at some of the plant. About 20 lines down, you've got a high Mac and driver, JCB and driver, and a mini digger and driver. The cost of these three is a combination, it's a day rate, but it's a combination of equipment hire and the labour to drive the equipment as well. So it could be a hired driver, or it could be you, or it could be one of your employees. You need to make sure that the daily cost adjacent to each of these items includes the plant hire and the labour to drive it. So if the plant costs £100 a day and your employee costs £160 a day, then the total plant cost that you need to enter here would be 260. And of course this can vary across the country, so if you just spend a moment checking those prices and updating them as necessary at your end. So update the price for the high mac and driver, the JCB and driver, excuse me, and the mini digger and driver. Okay, so once you've done that, I'm going to scroll down the page. You can use the scroll wheel on your mouse to do that, or obviously the scroll bar, until you find the portable toilet and site cabin, which are next to each other. Often I struggle to find things. There are a lot of rows, so what I would suggest is that you click the find button and you can type in a search term there. So I'm going to type in portable, click find, or you can press the enter key on your keyboard and it will take you to an item matching that word. So here we go. So that's the find button. Again, you'll find that on almost every screen in the software. So once you found the portable toilet, you'll see that's a weekly hire rate. Update that figure or the site cabin figure as necessary. And then a couple of lines down, we've got a 20-ton tipper and driver, including landfill tax. So that's the cost of the plant hire, the cost of the driver, and the landfill tax. And of course, the landfill tax will vary depending on which council is charging, so make sure that matches what you'd expect to pay. And then a few lines down, several lines down, we've got the 7-metre cubed skip. Again, that includes the landfill tax. Make sure that figure matches what you pay in your area. We find that for most of the UK, it's £180 per skip, but in some parts of the country, like London and Oxford, it can be up to £250, £280. So if you're in a region where you're paying £280, then if you have 10 skips over a job, that's £1,000. You can be very far out with your estimate very quickly. Okay, last few items I just want to point out are a few lines down: the congestion charge, daily parking fee, and the bay suspension fee. Make sure those prices are correct. Parking in certain areas again can be a really large cost, and if you get it wrong, you can end up it can end up eating into your final net profit. Okay, so I've just highlighted some of the really key aspects of the plant section of the price book, but when you have a few minutes, again, spend your time just working your way down there, updating anything that stands out as being quite different for what you'd expect to pay. Again, when you've finished editing your prices, it's the same routine as before. Click Mass Editing Tools and then click Edit Prices. That purchase cost column will turn blue again. Okay, two more sections of the price book to look at. The last two we're going to speed through because they're quite short. So if you go to the section drop-down box and select Subcontractor, we'll have a look at all the subcontractor options in the price book. As you can see, it's a very short section, and in here you've got a list of assorted contractor types, and they're mostly set with a price of £1. The reason for this is that most of these items are used in a workbook called Subcontractor Quotations. I'll show you all about that in Module 3. The Subcontractor Quotation workbook allows you to type in a price for a subcontractor where they've given you a fixed price for a job. So to pluck an example out of the air, if you wanted to add a subcontract cost of £500 for a plumber to supply and fit 3 radiators and connect them to the system, you could add that cost in as a subcontractor quotation in the Subcontractor Quotation workbook. So they're all set to £1 in the price book, and then when you go into the workbook, you can enter the cost for that quote in there. If you want to add your own subcontractors, which you can do using the new resource button in exactly the same way as you added your materials, you can do so, but again, give them a cost of £1. And then when you go into the Subcontractor Quotation workbook within your estimate, you can enter the cost for that subcontractor quote. It will all make a lot more sense when we go into that in Module 3. The one other line that I want to show you here is the flat roof waterproofing cost. It's a bit of an anomaly. This is a meter rate to supply and fit flat roof waterproofing, as the description suggests. It includes materials and labour. Because it's traditionally priced by roofers as a supply and fit cost, we've set the software up to work the same way. £40 is typical, we find, for a bitumen type finish, but if you're using fiberglass or GRP or another more expensive system, it could be much higher. It could be £100 or something. So of course there's many different types, so just make sure you adjust the price to match the system being fitted. Okay, so that's a quick tour of Subcontractor. Let's have a look at the sundry section of the price book. So we've gone to this section drop down and clicked sundry. This is really similar to the subcontractor section of the price book. It's a list of £1 people. They're mostly used in the preliminary workbooks to assign costs to people like structural engineers, surveyors, for planning applications and insurance and so on. So these are basically costs that you as the builder will incur prior to construction starting, but ones which you still need to include in your quote. Unless, of course, you don't like profits, but I think most of us do. As with all the other sections of the price book, you can create your own sundry costs using the New Resource button. Okay, so that's the price book covered. So we'll close down the master price book for now, and we'll look at one more option on the settings menu. So you can click the close button on the top left of your screen. That will take you back to the library of price books. All your changes are automatically saved. Click close again, and that will take you back to the My Settings menu. So as I mentioned at the outset, we're going to finish by looking at the My Favorites setting. So if you could click My Favorites. Now this screen is quite powerful if you have multiple merchants set up in your software. It allows you to set whose prices you want the software to use. So if you have a merchant link with one of our merchant partners, as I mentioned before, Jewson, TP, Keyline, or TradePoint, and so on. If you only have HP Excel Price Tracker set up on your system and you're editing those prices to match your assorted merchants, then you won't need to use this function because you'll be using HP Excel Price Tracker for everything. So My Favorites allows you to set whose prices you want the software to use, and it does a global swap between the merchants for the different product types, different material types. So the most straightforward way to do it is to click on the All Types line that corresponds with your favorite supplier. So say I used Jewson for the majority of my products, I could click the All Types button for Jewson, and you can see it's switched. Well, it's going to estimate using the Jewson material types. But you can then pick and mix. So it may be that you buy your aggregates from another supplier or your timber from another one. So I could then, for example, use my HP Excel Price Tracker prices for my aggregates. If I've set up my HP Excel Price Tracker products to reflect my independent supplier prices. Once you've got your settings how you want them, you would then click Apply, and then EstimatorXpress will go into the specifications and swap one supplier's products for the equivalent from another supplier. You just want to, before you do that, just scroll down and check that you're happy with each supplier and the different types of product that you would use them for. So it may be, as I mentioned at the outset, that you use a local timber merchant for your carcassing timber and so on. So you could switch that to HP Excel Price Tracker and then set up your HP Excel Price Tracker products to match what you would pay with your local guy. Okay, so that's My Favorites in a nutshell. I'm going to click Cancel for now. And that is the end of Module 1. As you go forward, using EstimatorXpress, try and remember if you put good in, you'll get good out. So if you can spend a few hours tweaking your price book so that it has the correct cost for what you pay, then you'll have a really good base set of data to use in your estimates. This will then allow you to use the data far more accurately, not only just for estimating your actual costs, but for correctly calculating your profits, both net and gross. It will help you to negotiate discounts and deals with your clients, because if you don't actually know how much profit you're going to make, how can you know how much you can have your price negotiated down by before you're actually making a loss? If you get your prices correct in your software, it will also help you have a forward view of your cash flow, and you can use the reports to help you do that. We'll look at that in Module 4. And it will also help you monitor your costs during the build and enable you to spot any overruns really quickly.